This is Jacob formatting tool. So we're gonna simply delete the card first. You'll see all the information go through. It means the program is working correctly. Sometimes it doesn't do that, and you have to exit out and go back in. And you just format the card. And other projects, I have some mitigation for attacks on PSAP, things like that. So that's done. Okay, so we're here. And then you want to open your XTU. Go to the front page. This is the line, you want to put your track 2 in there from your dump. So pull up your dump. Just take this number here. This is your track 2. Copy it. Paste it in there. Card holder name, usually just erase this. If you know it, you can put it in there. If it's included in your track, put it in there. Application label is going to be Visa debit in this case. You're using a debit card. If it's not, then just put it. It's kind of hard to hold the phone and type at the same time. Track 1. First, select Visa, because if you have this here, and then say you change it and you put your track number in there, blah blah blah, and then you're like, oh wait a minute, it's a MasterCard, and when you change it, it's gonna change that. So select this first. And in this case, we don't have the discretionary data for track 1. I'm just gonna put a space there, and it will delete it. I'm gonna go OmniKey. Your ID for Visa is 31010. For MasterCard, it's going to be 41010. You can confirm this in CardPeak by looking at other cards. You'll see that those are the numbers. Our country code is for the USA is 0840. So currency. And the PIN is in the dump in this one, so it's 2606. If you don't have the PIN, you can just leave that blank. And then we want to change data. Again, this date comes up where it comes from. You want to put your expiration date in there, which is 2409. So 24 is the year, 09 is the month, and you want to put the last day of that month. So 09 is September, so it's got 30 days, and put 30. If it were October, you'll put like 31. We don't do credit yet. We're going to go to IST. Now this is where you want to load up a real card. In this case, I'm going to use Chase. Seems to work. And then you read this card. And now what it's doing is it's taking the information you put on the first page and it's incorporating it with the IST on this card. And then you want to save it. That file's already here, so I'm just going to use an existing one. You can rename it whatever you like. I'm going to copy over this one. This is entirely too loud. Okay, and then you load it back up. And then you generate. Once you generate, it ends in IST, so select a file, put .ist. And we go to the third page. You want to load that file that you just made, so it's the IST one. This information, you can go ahead and burn or do credit on the first page now. So take this out. Put your card in there. Go ahead and do credit. Because what this does is going to tell you if your numbers are short up here. So I'm short by 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8.
Credit card number. So that's something where it's delivered. They make the physical card, and they can go from that point. So, and this is kind of what I envisioned as the first side of the future. And this is kind of one of the bad guys, because it's one of the things where
now we can go over here to the loan.
data for the most part.
Oh.
If it will be used for online transactions.
Now you can cut this number and paste it.
This is what I envisioned that the bad guys.
Because it's got the correct numbers on it now.
Strictly for research purposes, it's not a functional part of side.
Otherwise, it'll prompt you to enter more numbers on this page. It's fine. Again, I don't know the card holder name, so I'm just going to erase it. This is going to be Visa debit. This is in all capitals for Visa. Other people say you have to do capitals for MasterCard, but you don't. MasterCard is called Debit MasterCard, so we're going to... I'll show you.
They've actually set up, in addition, it's not just simply buying static data anymore. They're actually basically purchasing a VPN tunnel to a fraud network. Is what the method that
this card doesn't have a chip. Excuse me.
There's still ways that people can actually stop this stuff if they take a little bit look of what extent that the bad guys would eventually go to.
I found out this one doesn't have a chip either. This one's got a chip.
Not the fraud network, but the actual delivery system, and it's all for demonstration. And yeah, so here's basically how it works.
I know that's right.
Time on a fraud, this
Alright, see how it says debit MasterCard and that's lowercase.
Or the bad guy transaction, that's actually in a blockchain of events. So they're basically
And then
their transaction data at a specific time. That's when the bad guys at the
if you do Visa,
when we're going through this, you can look and you can see their time block. All the other ones are also distributed. It sends all the information.
this one says Visa debit and you see how that's
entered on the other page, such as
capital.
limiting characters that people will need for some of the time
Okay,
information.
so to prove that point,
Copy this intertype and quality. So pretty much it goes through all this information. That's what your actual packets that will be included in the
track data for discretionary data. If you have to track one from you, don't put it in there. If not, just put that space. Country code again, 0840. I'm unclear why it doesn't automatically populate this. So maybe there's ways you can manipulate cards by putting multiple different information, I don't know. The RQC, you get that from AP Tools, so I'm going to actually show you how to do that. Even though a lot of people just be like, oh, just put a number here, and they don't tell you like how to do it. Okay. I should have grabbed this PAN number first. First section of numbers is the PAN.
Not only is it impersonating the cash out machine, but it's also collecting a lot of the same data because a lot of it's on unencrypted channels or there's lots of methods which I'll go into in a little bit here.
Where did it go? I lost it.
Let you know the limits of your of the transactions that the bad guys
Open it.
And yep, so here's like I was saying, on that blockchain, there's going to be padding data.
We're going to go to
unused slots or even on Google
EMV.
And that basically will give you
Cryptograms
info, so you can initiate the GRE tunnel
4.2.
before your actual cash out time, or the bad guy's cash
And
out
here where it says
time. So that's something where the
PAN, that's where you
person
put
that
that
comes along
number.
is able to communicate and validates the keys of the actual fraud device, and then it passes it off of the
So
network. So this is
in
something
there.
where
And what this does is it's gonna calculate the number. It's like your little receipt. It's gonna calculate a number in a series. You have to go down this line. This last step we don't do. That's a number generated by a bank that sends to the terminal. So this is your unknown number. And you click here to generate it. And then you go to the session key. And you generate that. Boom. And then this is your ARC key. And we're gonna generate that. Mark this guy up. And this is a number that we need. It's really not that difficult once you understand what's going on.
RFID, which is not the tokenized like Apple Pay stuff, it's the actual RFID enabled cards. So that's something where
Goes right here.
information can be passed off into that real time network using a
And
blockchain network.
then double check everything. This looks good. We're just gonna go ahead and burn it.
So say for example,
Here.
you have a business card that is literally only used for fuel. It won't intercept those kind of transactions, and there's actual flag information that will the initial communication process will let it know that those aren't going to be.
Okay, and that's done. So we'll take this out and we can check our work.
You'll be able to pass off PIN numbers. Some of them will be able to actually just switch it that there's a signature sign, things like that. So there's tons of actual EMV attacks.
So this isn't too crazy stuff.
The number of assumed liability or assumed ATM limits. So that was one of the things I saw the bad guys were collecting. So based on bank identification numbers, which are the first 6 digit on the cards, they can assume that that's a more prestigious bank. They will have a $3,000 ATM limit or a $500 ATM limit.
Oh, you see how it's asking for Visa debit applications? That's a good sign that this card burned well. So, these burn cards take a little longer to read. So in the meantime, I'm gonna make some coffee.
EMV enabled devices or chip and pin devices that were enabled, and they were passing to my simple cash out card to a phone. And that's something where I was starting to see how it actually communicates on the actual network. So basically, as the initiation of the actual transaction starts, it actually passes them off to the card remotely. So that's something where there is not a really good way to load balance this, aside from the these can't actually take data and use it later. It's literally
You fat slut. Oh! Oh, that's right, honey.
cash out ATM, so you can insert as many shim devices as you want. So, and here's what most likely.
Okay, look, see how it does a US debit application? That's the second processing. So that means this card looks really good.
Like 3 talks inside one talk here. So like the entire fraud, like the fraud backend, the extent that the guys will actually go to, the bad guys, that's something where a small prototype, say unused transactions, like the system that I built, it was so they can have lease gear, like right now they have mules that go out and tune these devices. There are people that aren't, they're just one part in the car. And some of those systems, like they'll have the lease gear, so they'll send gear out, and it will actually feed into the actual prototype. They have mules, employees, there's lots of ways, independent small breaches, there's like smaller carter sites that they can actually, the smaller carter sites will feed to their larger carter sites if they have unused transactions. So if there's unused transactions, you can actually pass them off to other blockchains. So, and then just, that's the way I envision the interface. And so this is basically, it holds for round 2 on the actual shimmy device. So there's a bunch of device that's going on here, and
Oh boy, you can just smell this.
initiation information is passed off. Prototype request information is passed off. So all
Okay,
going
this
on
is done.
that the ATM is doing a
To confirm, we just want to go through here. This is Visa debit. I'm gonna look for track 2. Here it is. Okay, track 2 is in there. So this is gonna be a good card. You can take this boy out and take to the bank. You can write your PIN number on there, or another guy who puts post-it notes on there, which makes sense to me because if you take it to the ATM and you stick it in you're nervous, you have to pull it back out to figure out what the PIN number is. The only other problem is if you have a bunch of cards and they'll have post notes on, and then they all come off in your pocket and you don't really know what's going on when you get to the ATM machine. And that's it. I hope you enjoyed this video and it helps you. The second part of this is you have to burn the magnetic strip on the back of the card. So what we do for this is you go back to your dump, take this number, and you put it here for track 2. And then you're gonna take, actually here, you're gonna put it right up here too for track 1. We're gonna make a track 1 for this because I don't have it on the dump. So in the front, put a capital B for bank. Take this out. What are these guys? It's the top of the 6 key if you don't know what that is. And put a slash. this one. Right? It looks funny. There is the regular one. Here. It's the expiration date. Service code. I'm gonna put 4 zeros here. 1, 2, 3, 4. And then we're gonna put 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 at the end. And we're gonna call it track 1. Let's go. Where's my mouse? Here we go. Got it right. And you take your card. There it is. And then you can go to read and make sure that it wrote correctly. There it is. This is important because when you put this in the ATM, it does skim this to make sure that there's some data on there. Track 2 is the most important. A couple of people said for track 1s that for ATMs you have to have a track 1 on there. So that's why I just kind of stuck that one in there.